How do you like my new tinfoil hat? I'm going to be discussing schizophrenia. This is something that Jesuits are trying to label me with, and we've made some new discoveries about schizophrenia that I really need to discuss. But first of all, let me tell you how we got onto this. I got a phone call from my son. He left a message on my cell phone's answering machine, and I picked it up, and he had this judgmental, strange tone, which I which did not seem like him at all. And he said, he said, Mom, I really need to talk to you. And he was concerned that I believed that he had had an encounter with Rule 13, and um, he denied that that ever happened. And this went totally contrary to everything that Brent Spiner and Terrance Jenkins shared with me through Skype about we had an emergency with my son where we had to rescue him from Jesuit Rule 13, who was attempting to rape him. And they had put a shield around him so that the only way that we could rescue him from her, and the only way we could break the shield, was a woman had to be willing to take his virginity from him. And we were able to find a very virtuous, good woman who was willing to do that. And my son didn't remember any of that. And he said he demanded in a very rude manner that I take down all of this stuff. And he claimed that he was at a pre-calculus class at his college that night, and that he was not with Rule 13, and that none of this happened, that he was claiming that Terrance Jenkins was a fraud and that I shouldn't trust him. But I knew this wasn't the case, and I said, I think I'm talking to my son's clone. I don't believe this is my son because I'd had dealings with Terrance. He is a Harvard Law School graduate. He's a judge, a very intelligent man, and I know that's who I'm speaking with on Skype. And I testified with him at a trial with against Laurie McBride. So I knew my son was wrong. And finally, I said, son, this isn't you. This has got to be your clone. He said, Mom, I knew you would say this. I knew you would say that it wasn't me, that it's my clone, but it is me. Finally, I just got really quiet and I listened to him. And I came to the conclusion that he really was convinced that either that or he was a clone, that he never had any encounters with Rule 13. He claimed that her name was not Rule 13, but some other name. So he said, Mom, I want you to take down all that video about me and her at the website. He said, I'm trying to advance my career, and this would be detrimental to my career. And he said, and I want you to take down anything, any mention of me and Rule 13, and I don't want you to talk about me with Terrance Jenkins anymore. And I thought, my, something's going on here. I said, I will do that. I will respect your wishes. I said, but I am going to talk to Brent Spiner about this and let him know what you've just told me, because Brent told me something totally different than what you're telling me. And he said, that's fine. He said, you can talk to Brent Spiner, but take that all that down. So I said I would. And I sent Brent an email and let him know that my son demanded that I take all this stuff off the web. And Brent said he needed to speak with me on Skype, that they had to discuss my son. This is what they told me. They said, Gail, you did speak with your son. It was not a clone. However, he has schizophrenia. I said, schizophrenia? I said, how's that possible? He didn't sound like he had a mental illness. He sounded level-headed and cool. And they said, yes, but the Jesuits can induce it in him whenever they want. In other words, most of the time he'll act normal, and then when they want him to have schizophrenia, he has it. So I thought, and they said, it's so sad. They said he really believes this alternate reality where he doesn't believe he's ever had an encounter with Rule 13, even though we know he did. And he can't remember who he's gone to bed with or anything like that. He can't remember. They said he was not at the college that night, but he really believes that that's where he was. And then they told me those fires that were set at around your mobile home in 1998, they told me that was not done by your son's clone. See, my ex-husband accused my son of doing those fires, but I know that my son didn't do those fires because I was with him and he was helping me put them out. So I know he didn't do them. And so Brent and Terrance were telling me, however, they said those fires were not caused by your son's clone in 1998. I said, well, then who did them? I said, I know my son didn't do them. And they said the Jesuits were using teleportation technology. I guess they were able to teleport a fire and move it from place to place around my mobile home. I thought, oh my goodness. I said, I can't believe that. So they were teleporting fires from one door to the other at my mobile home while my son and I were putting them out. Now, why in the world the neighbors said that they saw my son doing it, I suspect they might have been paid off by Laurie McBride to lie and claim that he did it. So, because Laurie McBride was behind, as she was a Jesuit, and and the Jesuits admitted their Crazy Gail wiki website, in which they claim I'm a paranoid schizophrenic, that Laurie McBride played a role in those fires, that she was behind it, that she orchestrated it and worked with the police department. Because I remember when I called the police department out there to investigate the fires, they said it was my job to catch the criminals for those fires. So I've been a victim of a massive Jesuit conspiracy for a while, and I'm not imagining things. And I'll go more into that later. Anyways, I thought, I can't believe it. And Terrance Jenkins said the reason that they want your son to have schizophrenia is because they're trying to discredit you with schizophrenia. So they're trying to make it look like your family members have it, so therefore you must have it. And I said, of course, they've been trying to do that for years. And what was really weird, though, is I didn't really check my cell phone's answering machine when I first came home from work. I made a video. We're doing a Bible study on War on the Saints at Church of Gail. And I'm like the leader in the Bible study. We're studying about demons and demon possession and how to cast out demons out of Christians. And I had just made a video for my church about how to cast out demons in Christians. So, and I'm just about through with my Bible study on this subject. So I'm very knowledgeable about demon possession and how a person becomes demon possessed, and what causes demon possession. And so I was thinking, you know what? I was thinking, when a devil possesses a Christian, and the Bible, a Christian can be demon possessed, and I've been teaching this in our War on the Saints Bible study at our Church of Gail. A Christian can be demon possessed. When a person's demon possessed, the devil doesn't always exhibit his existence in that person at all times, because the devil's clever. If the person always acts strange, then it'll be too obvious they're demon possessed, and then the devil will get detected and he might get cast out. So when a person's demon possessed, the devil chooses when he wants to exhibit himself. So I thought, you know what? I bet my son is demon possessed. And I got to warn you about this. People have misconceptions about demon possession. When you think of someone who's demon possessed, you think of somebody who's evil, obviously evil, and maybe somebody who goes to seances, and somebody who would never go to church, and somebody who, who maybe does drugs. Those are a lot of common misconceptions about demon possession, but it's not true. You can be a good person and be demon possessed. And this is something that I've been teaching at our Church of Gail. A lot of people don't realize this. They think only evil people are demon possessed. You can be a pretty good person. You could be somebody who goes to church all the time, and you can be demon possessed. And I've been teaching about this. The conditions for demon possession are passivity. If you don't think for yourself, if you allow yourself to become an automaton, if you're not entrenched in the scriptures, If you're not exercising the sword of the Spirit, that's the scriptures. If you're not praying, if you're not asking for Jesus guidance for Jesus in your life, and it's much more complicated than this. But probably one of the key things you got to watch for is you don't want to go into a passive state. And that is a condition where you don't think for yourself, you don't use your brain, you don't use your faculties. Because once you start becoming like a dummy, like a robot duck, where you don't think for yourself and you let other people do your thinking for you, you open yourself up to demon possession. Um, and I think that may be where my son got into trouble. Plus, I know he doesn't read his Bible every day. And I thought, you know what? I bet my son has some devils in his body, and those devils are controlling his mind and causing him to forget. Demons can give you amnesia about things, to forget key things that happened in his life. And so I really am convinced that he's demon possessed, and not because he's an evil man, because my son's a young man right now. He's a young man. He's in his early 20s, but because he's allowed himself to get in a passive state. Probably the combination of some of the music that he listens to, maybe some of the computer games he's playing, where he's not really thinking for himself, and he's allowing that, and he makes himself vulnerable to possession by the devil. And I would encourage you all to visit my website, GabrielleChana.com, GabrielleChana.com. And click on my links about War on the Saints. And I understand that my church is going through this as well, as we're realizing that demon possession is a very, very serious problem in the church and in the world today. Let me tell you why this is so important and why we need to tie this in with what the Jesuits are doing. You may say, well, you're saying that all schizophrenics are demon possessed? Well, to be honest with you, I've never been sure what I've believed. They say it's caused by chemical imbalance in the brain, where a person with schizophrenia goes off into an alternate reality and they can't separate fact from fiction, and they believe that their alternate reality is true when it's not. That could very well be demon possession, because a devil could come and go in your body and control your memories, and maybe even insert memories in there and cause you to believe you were at a certain place when you weren't there. And I think that's what happened to my son. He said, well, Mom, I wasn't there that night on March the 20th. I was at community college that night taking a class. Well, I talked with Brent and Terrence, and they said that isn't true. He was not at a community college that night taking a class. But he really believes that because he's schizophrenic. And he's convinced that that's where he was. He was really out on a date with Rule 13. And she was up to no good, and she probably would have killed him or raped him and seduced him. And Rule 13 has the ability to explode a man's penis and kill him. And so we knew he was in grave danger, and we were just willing to do whatever we had to do to get our woman in there to rescue him. And they had this shield around him, so the only way we could get in there was to get a woman who was willing to take his virginity from him. And it's pretty sad that he doesn't remember that. This is a very monumental point in his life, and he can't remember it. And so anyways, Vladimir Putin and his nanotechnology research team determined he's schizophrenic. And he really forgets important points in his life. So, and I said, what can we do to help him? And they said, we're going to get our nanotechnology research team on this. But after we got off of the Skype conversation, I'm really tired today because I stayed up late because we weren't able to get on Skype till about 2 in the morning. So I stayed up till like 3 or 4 in the morning talking with them about how to deal with this. And they said, we don't know, but let's go to God in prayer, and we're also going to have our nanotechnology research team work on this. Perhaps we can put him on some sort of antipsychotic and, get him to understand what is true and what is not true in his life, because schizophrenics have a really hard time distinguishing fact from fiction, and they really start believing their alternate reality and thinking that that is what's really going on when that's not what's going on. So, I decided to add a ribbon to this tinfoil hat to make it stylish. Jesus wants me to wear a tinfoil hat because the Jesuits actually use their computer satellite technology to direct like radio signals to the brain to deflect me and cause problems with me when I make YouTube videos for Jesus. So that's why I'm doing this. Okay, so what was really interesting is this morning when I woke up, I thought, wait a minute. I think my son's schizophrenia is induced by demon possession. So I went at Church of Gail and wrote a post about this. And the men on my marriage list started experimenting and with schizophrenics and working with key psychiatrists all over the world, including Gerard Butler, who's also on my marriage list and is a practicing psychiatrist. He mainly limits his practice to the men on my marriage list. So Gerard Butler, who's a psychiatrist, and key psychiatrists over the world started experimenting with schizophrenics to see if I was right, that schizophrenia is mainly caused by demon possession. Lo and behold, we were making tremendous progress with schizophrenics all over the world, casting out demons from them you have to know how to cast out demons. It's not like you see in the movie The Exorcist. And sometimes you can't cast them out right away. Sometimes it's a gradual process. You have to remove the ground in the person that caused the demon to enter in the first place. And War on the Saints goes into this. The ground is like a way of thinking and approaching life. It's when you start believing lies in your mind, when you start believing anything that's not true, you immediately give the devil ground. The greatest weapon against demon possession is to never, ever believe anything that is false. Once you accept and believe any lie, you give the devil ground and make it easy, and you set yourself up for demon possession. And one way to immune yourself from believing lies is to entrench yourself in the King James Bible, which is the source of all truth. So we started experimenting with schizophrenics, and lo and behold, we actually cured several of them who weren't really serious cases by casting out the demons in the schizophrenics, and we cured them. And we did further research on all schizophrenics around the world and determined that every schizophrenic out there is demon possessed. So we now believe that we found the cure to schizophrenia. For those schizophrenics out there who are open to truth, who have a heart for truth and a heart for light, we are able to cure you if we follow the principles in War on the Saints in taking and removing the demons from you, the devils in you. Devils are like little teeny weeny things. You can have up to 100 or more devils living in your body. They're small creatures. They're not big like people think. And they can live inside your body and take over your mind, take over your body, take over your senses, cause you to have physical symptoms, mental symptoms, emotional symptoms. They can affect your memory. They can cause all sorts of problems. I'm not saying that every single mental illness out there is demon possession, but I think that in the field of psychiatry, we are greatly underestimating how important a factor demon possession plays in mental illness. Now, I realize that in the 1800s, we went to the other extreme, and people were labeled with demon possession who had physical illnesses that were giving them mental symptoms. And we don't want to go that route either. But on the other hand, now in the 20th and 21st centuries, we're going to the other extreme, where we're saying that there's no such thing as demon possession, and that if you have a mental illness, it's a chemical imbalance, and that's it. And that isn't true either. So you got to have a balance here. You got to realize that demon possession is a real condition that does exist, and it can cause mental illness. And we have discovered so far that 100% of schizophrenics are demon possessed. The demon causes these people to accept their alternate reality so that they can't remember things, or they believe they were someplace where they were not, or they see things out there that are not there. And so the cure to schizophrenia is to cast out the demons in the person. And at Church of Gail, we've actually been having exorcism services, and Jesus, from what I understand, is helping us out. And we've been curing a lot of schizophrenics. Schizophrenia, if I understand correctly, is one mental illness where they haven't been able to find a cure. And I think it's because they're approaching it from the wrong angle. They're treating it like a chemical imbalance only, when it's actually demon possession, where the demons are inducing the chemical imbalance and messing with the brain and causing the people to believe alternate realities. So the cure to schizophrenia is to cast out the demons in the person and warn this. And there's a right and wrong way to go about doing it. And if I encourage you to go to my website and explore my links. Also, Gerard Butler has already started heading up a clinic to cure schizophrenics, and they're all signing up all over the world, from what I understand. And he's heading it up, and schizophrenics from all over the world are coming to him, and he's casting out the demons in them, and some of these people are getting cured when they never had a cure before after years and years of psychiatric treatment. So this is kind of exciting. It's sad that my son was or is, from what I understand, we've been casting out some demons out of my son, and he's getting better. But he's got a rather severe case of demon possession, and it may take a while to get them all out. And we have to work on removing the ground that caused the demons to, find him fertile ground in the first place. So it could take a year or longer before we're able to get rid of all the demons. Some demons are harder to get rid of than others. It depends on the spiritual condition of the person as to how easy it is to get rid of the demons. You may say, well, Jesus can get rid of them right away. It's tricky. Even though he can cast the demons out of a person, they can come right back in there if you don't deal with the ground in the person that caused them to take possession of the person in the first place. War on the Saints goes into that. You got to avoid going into a passive state and be very careful not to believe any lies. Once you start believing a lie, you open yourself up to demon possession. It's not a joke when you're dealing with demon possession that you must always believe only the things that are true. Once you start believing lies, you open yourself up to demon possession. I think it's a much more common ailment than people realize. I mean, at Walmart, I could swear that 90% of the customers I deal with are demon possessed. They check out in a frenzy. It's like, they look at you like, I mean, you can tell there's something not right with them. And I think it's because they're Jesuits. I believe most Jesuits are demon possessed. I go out on the road, and I think most of the drivers around me are demon possessed. As soon as I go out the door, it's like everybody's time. I'll walk by an apartment door, and it'll open, and somebody will just come out of nowhere and bump into me. I go out to my car, and somebody just zooms out of nowhere and gets into the car next to me and sits there waiting at me and stares at me. I'll get out on the road, and pedestrians will pop out of nowhere, get right in front of me. The Jesuits are so obsessed with me. It's gotten to the point now where I wear a tinfoil hat when I'm driving because the Jesuits try to distract my brain cell conversations when I'm out on the road to cause me to make mistakes, to maybe accidentally go through a stop sign, or maybe when the light turns red, to not maybe stop as soon as I could. I'm actually a very good driver. I've never had a ticket in my whole life. But I've noticed the Jesuits are trying to manipulate my brain cell conversations. And I did have an instance where I was in a hurry to get to work because I was running late, and I was at a little rinky-dink intersection, and I forgot to stop at the stop sign, and the Jesuits timed one of their police officers to just come by right at that time. And I thought, oh no, I'm running late for work. And it was safe for me to go in there. It wasn't a major intersection. I don't do stuff like this major intersection, but I could tell. I looked both ways. There was no traffic. She said, why stop? Let's just go. And there was the police officer. And I thought, oh boy. And when he showed up, I said, say hi to Zach Knight for me, because I knew he was working for Zach Knight, who's actually the real head of the Jesuits right now. So anyways, it's crazy. I had one day when I went out on the road, and it was like I would be on a rinky-dink intersection, and would look both ways to see if any cars were coming. And then as soon as I pulled out, it was like a car would go 90 miles an hour down the road, boom, and it almost hit. I thought, oh my God, where'd this car come from? I said, Vladimir, I said, go get that Jesuit, execute him, man. They just tried to hit me. I had changed my phone number on Skype because Jesuits have been calling me at my telephone number because it leaked out on the internet. So I've changed my number. So I went to the Skype place to get my number changed. This is like a little strip mall. This isn't, I don't live in New York City. You know what happened when I pulled up at the strip mall? I pulled up at the strip mall and there were like 20 cars in the parking lot, all waiting to exit right where I came. And they were blocking me so that I couldn't go into the strip mall to find a spot. And then when I kind of weaved into the strip mall, everybody had to pull out when I showed up. One car started pulling out, then another pulled out. About 3 or 4 pedestrians walked out in front of me. These were all Jesuits. Apparently, they didn't want me to change my telephone number. Maybe they were hoping they could get me into a fender bender on my way to the. So I just waited. And I said, Vladimir, there's a Jesuit. Take that one out. That one out there. That car. I was reading tags. I do this to him. It was unreal. This was a little strip mall. 20 cars waiting to exit a little rinky-dink parking lot. You would think it was New York City. You would say, oh, that's a coincidence. This has been happening more and more. And then I went out to go out to the foods organic grocery store. And on my way out there, I was driving on a bridge, and this car just swerved out of nowhere. I mean, just almost hit me, coming right in front of me. And I honked my horn at them. And I said, good grief, these people need to take driving. Because I knew it was a Jesuit. They were trying to hit me. And I had to slow down a little bit. I can't control what these Jesuit drivers do. I honked my horn at them, and they shot a birdie at me. Brent told me later that those those ladies were Jesuits, and that they were executed, that they were trying to get me in a car accident. I mean, it is dangerous for me to drive on the road now. And then I'll go. I had an instance in Seattle, and it's starting to get like it was in Seattle in 1999. But I had an instance in Seattle where I was driving, and the Jesuits really picked up their activities when I offered Brent Spiner my hand in marriage in December 1999. When the Lord spoke to me in a still small voice at around 2 in the morning and told me my enemy was the Roman Catholic Church. And I had an instance in Seattle where I was going to make a left-hand turn at a intersection. And this huge back truck just came out of nowhere and just boom! It went right by me and swerved right in front of me and missed hitting me by like that much. It's by God's grace I'm alive. Now, lately I've been getting a lot more of this when I go out on the road. You may say, oh, you're paranoid schizophrenic. Hey, I'm not imagining the huge Mack truck that came out of nowhere and almost hit me. And lately I've been seeing a lot of Mack trucks on these little rinky-dink roads. People are driving like maniacs. They're swerving in front of me, not giving themselves enough space to pass me safely. They're getting on my tail and then crunching behind me, and I'm and then when I drive to work, they're all timed perfectly to either get in front of me and slow me down. They try to make me late for work. So they put somebody right in front of me who drives right at the speed limit or 2 miles below the speed limit. Then they got somebody positioned perfectly, maybe catty corner right to the right over on the other lane so that I can't pass them. And they're both going the same speed. And then if I do try to pass them, let's say I go to the left-hand side, then all of a sudden the car in front of me has to stop and make a left-hand turn. So I think, so let's go over to this lane. Then I go over to the other lane. And as soon as I try to pass the person, then they speed up because they know I'm trying to pass them. These are all Jesuits. I can't believe how obsessed they are with me. They especially love to attack me on my way to work because they know I'm in a hurry and they like to make me late for work because I guess they want me to lose my job at Walmart. So I can't afford my website and my YouTube channel and my computers and all that. So, and then at work. Oh, I mean, I go out on the road. I pray now. I say, Jesus, you drive this car for me. And I wear a tinfoil hat when I drive. And I said, you drive this car for me because it's dangerous for me now to get behind the wheel because it's crazy out there. I feel like I'm driving in a war zone. And the Jesuits admit themselves at Crazy Gail Wiki and orderofthejesuits.com that I am their #1 target. And believe me, as soon as I go out the door, it's like they all pop out of nowhere. I don't know where they all come from. They come out of the woodwork. I'll walk by one apartment, then all of a sudden the door just opens and somebody just rushes out right in front of me. It's like, goodness, where'd this person come from? Or I come back from work and I have to bring my groceries up the stairs. And guess what? All the Jesuits have to come out and smoke in the stairwell. And they all come out when it's time for me to bring my groceries. So I like to avoid them because I don't like to run into them. So I think, let's try that stairwell because there's no Jesuit there. So I head in that direction. All of a sudden, a Jesuit comes out of the apartment and sits on the bottom of the stairwell and starts smoking. And they like to sit right plop in the middle of the stairwell so that I have to go by them, by like 5 inches by them, whether I like it or not. So I think, okay, let's try the other stairwell. All of a sudden, another Jesuit shows up and is standing and gabbing on a cell phone or smoking, and all of his friends are there, and they're usually kind of creepy looking. I think, oh my God, no matter which way I go, I got to bump into a Jesuit. So I think, well, this is my fate. I can't avoid these creeps no matter what I do. This is my life, folks. They follow me around like leeches. They're everywhere. You said you're paranoid schizophrenic. I'm not imagining the Jesuits who all of a sudden show up everywhere I go. It really aggravates me. I think, I know what. I'll go by them and say, hi. I said, I know why you're here. It's because I'm here. She says, oh, you really believe that? I said, oh, yeah. Yeah, as soon as I go out the door, everybody just pops out of the woodworks and shows up. I go onto the road, same thing. At work, it's been unreal. The Jesuits are deluging the store. The other day, it was crazy, man. They were all looking at me like, checking out. They go, why doesn't this stupid swiper work? I don't get it. I hate Walmart. What's wrong with your swipers? I said, ma'am, let's try going bottom to top. It's a very busy swiper, and it has a lot of problems. And maybe if you go bottom to top, this is all right. Then and then they get really confusing. Oh, I don't want to buy this. They said, I don't have the money for this. Can you put this away? They go, oh, I changed my mind. I think I got the money. Can we put that back? Oh, ooh, I can't find my card. They'll go look around frantically. Oh, here it is. And then they load everything on the belt. This is how they do it. Plop, 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 plop. And they go, ma'am, why don't we just wait? Because I think we're ready to have an avalanche and everything's going to fall on the floor. So let's get this stuff off. And then we can load some more stuff down. They go, oh, okay. And then they just sit there like a bump in the log where all the bags are filled up and they don't, take them off. At Walmart, we don't have bagging service. So I bring them around and I don't mind. And they go, oh, that rang up at the wrong price. And I go, oh, okay, let me go in and fix it for you. They go, that was supposed to be $3, not $5. So I go in there and then I fix it. And I had one instance where the person was getting so confusing and telling me 5 things at once that I forgot to void the old price off. Then the Jesuit, I can't wear a tinfoil hat at work. So it's like, she goes, oh, and then after the transaction's over, oh, by the way, you forgot to void this one off. Remember, usually I remember. Another favorite trick is they love to mess with the Walmart computer. Like I'll scan an item across there twice and it'll ring. Excuse me, I'll scan an item and it'll ring. I hear one beep, beep. So you figure it only rang once. Lo and behold, they come back with their receipt. Ma'am, this thing rang up twice. I said, how did the computer do that? I said, Zach Knight, go to hell, man. Leave my I don't say that to them. That's what I'm thinking in my brain. I said, oh, that Zach Knight, man, he's so good with the computer. I said, Vladimir, I think you need to blow up a satellite somewhere. They're messing with the computers here at Walmart. Oh, it's just unreal. And everything and every day the computer is weird too. Like I had one instance where I had an item that they got one of those cold drinks from those little mini refrigerators, and they handed it to me, and it wouldn't ring up. So I said, can you go get another one there? And that one rang up, and I thought, that's strange. Why does this one ring up? And the other one didn't ring up. They were both the exact same item, but they had different barcodes. I think I've seen everything. I thought, I don't get it. I actually had one instance. This is Zach Knight messing with our computers at Walmart. And then today, I had an instance where I rang up an item. No, I had a coupon. You deduct coupons at the end, right? So I zapped the coupon, and lo and behold, it rang up. Something rang up, like mushrooms or something rang up. The ray went over to the next. Anyways, like I said, it's just been really interesting. And the customers have been really bizarre. Not all of them, but they act like they're demon possessed. You may say, well, how does a demon possessed customer act? Well, they show up at the register and they look at you like, oh, and they seem like they're really nervous. I don't know, demons are kind of frenzied and frantic when they take over a person. and they'll load their stuff down like this. Bang, bang, bang. Oh, this is what they look like. I want to see if I can do an acting job. Oh, oh yeah, I gotta go to this. I'm running late. I gotta get somewhere in about 5 minutes. I got a wick. Okay, yeah. Just here. I'll bag it for you. Can you just do it real quick for me, please? I'm not exaggerating, folks. And I go, and then they hand me the wick tag. Yeah. Can you just sign it for me? I'm really running late. My child's waiting at the daycare, and I gotta go now. You may say, you're exaggerating. This is what I've been dealing with. Like 80% of my customers are like this. They're Jesuits. So she hands me the WIC check and says, ma'am, you got to sign this. And I need to compare the signature with what's on the WIC card. And then I looked through it and I typed it in. I said, oh, ma'am, you handed me the wrong WIC check. This is not the WIC check. And she goes, oh, I'm sorry. And I said, yeah, we got to get another WIC check. This is the wrong one. This is what I'm dealing with all day. Crazy Jesuits. And then here's another one of their favorites. I put stuff in the bag, and they want me to stuff the bags, okay? To the point of ridiculousness. I guess it's this part of this devil worship, where part of Satan worship is you worship the earth, so you don't want to desecrate the earth. And the Jesuits are devil worshippers, so they don't want to desecrate the earth, so they fill the bags up. So I'll fill the bags up according to the logical method, trying to keep cold with cold, the meat separate from this. They never like how a bag, they rearrange everything. Oh, let's put this over here, and this over here, and this over here. And I think, okay, I'm just going to let them do what they want to do. She says, we don't want this here. I want to move this over here. Oh, this goes to my friend's house. Oh, this goes here. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Don't put that in that bag. I want it in that bag. You say, you're exaggerating. Not one bit, folks. This is what I'm dealing with all day long. The insane asylum. And they say, I'm crazy? You should see what I'm dealing with at work. I think the whole world is paranoid schizophrenic. Anyways, we had a manager at our job. And he started acting strange. I can always tell when the managers act strange because I'll get on the Palm Pilot when I'm low on change and they take forever to show up. They never show up. They just let me run out of change, or they'll come over and act and kind of like they're peeking over my shoulders like they're looking to see if I'm making any mistakes, or if I have to use the restroom because I have bladder problems because of my yeast infection. They'll like, oh, brother, you got to go to the bathroom again. They're not very, you can always tell when you're dealing with a Jesuit clone or a manager who's working for the Jesuits. They're not very understanding. They're unreasonable, and they're looking for things on me. And I had that situation today, so I said, Vladimir, I think you need to judo chop. Vladimir Putin shows up on a supersonic jet, and he gets behind Walmart, and he judo chops some of these Jesuits who give me trouble at Walmart. And you can always tell when that's happening because the Jesuits act kind of like, when they're checking out, like, boy, we know Vladimir Putin's out there, So, but you know what happened? This is really sad. When I told Vladimir to judo chop because they got this manager, we found out that the Jesuits captured the real manager and they cut the manager in half like this, vertically this way, all the way down to his penis, and they killed him. And what Jesus did was made an automaton copy of that manager, and that's who I've been working with. But this really makes me angry. This is what the Jesuits are doing at my job. They've killed one of my managers already because they didn't want me to work with him, I guess, and they wanted to replace him with his clone so they can undermine me at work and make me appear crazy. And so I'm just telling you, folks, it's getting pretty wild. I pray a lot. I say, Lord Jesus, how do I handle? Here comes another devil in line, another demon-possessed Jesuit. Anyways, let me tell you something about the field. I've always believed that the Jesuits created the field of psychiatry in order to undermine their enemies, and they obviously consider me their enemy. They even admitted at orderofthejesuits.com, they said I'm their #1 target. So they've got to label me. You may say, are you saying that people don't have mental illnesses? I'm not saying people don't have mental illnesses. But what I am saying is I think the Jesuits may have created some of these mental illnesses using their advanced computer satellite technology. And also don't forget that the Jesuit order is founded on devil worship. The whole Jesuit religion is based on Satan worship, and they regularly commune with devils and UFO inhabitants who are the fallen angels, by the way. You know all those UFO creatures flying around in spacecrafts? We had Jesus talked with us during Skype, and I asked Jesus, I said, are those the fallen angels that fell with Lucifer? And Jesus said, that is correct. All of those UFO aliens are the fallen angels. The third of the angels that fell with Satan, when he wanted to be like, he's the anointed cherub that covereth, when he wanted to be like the Most High, and he took the third of the angels with him. Those third of the angels are all the UFO creatures that are flying around in spacecrafts. And guess what? The Jesuits regularly commune with them. The UFOs and the devils and the Jesuits all get along great. So therefore, you can safely assume that that anything that has to do with demon possession, the Jesuits are going to be connected with it. Okay? Since we know now that schizophrenia is caused by demon possession, and the Jesuits probably work with Satan and the devils to promote demon possession in human beings. And so what they do is they actually probably try to create conditions in people so that they'll give ground to the devil, and they promote demon possession in people. And they use their technology on people to maybe direct their brain cell conversations, to direct them into activities and into believing lies, so that they can impose a demon into that person's body and put a demon in them. Okay, say once the Jesuits succeed in making a person demon possessed, then they categorize that person and give them a mental illness label, unless it's one of them, of course. But what the Jesuits do is they use their advanced technology to try to induce demon possession in a person. And then once they've got the devils living entrenched in that person, they work with Satan and the devils to direct that person's activities to behave in a certain manner. In other words, I believe there are schizophrenia devils out there. And that when a person is possessed with a schizophrenia devil, the devil will behave in a manner that fits the schizophrenia psychiatric category. And that's how the Jesuits label people. They use their advanced technology to cause a person to become demon possessed. And then once they do that, and this could be a good person, good people can be deceived, and I talk about this in War on the Saints. Then once they do that, and that person's demon possessed, then they label them with a mental illness label. So I really believe the Jesuits created the field of psychiatry to get away from the Bible method of dealing with demon possession. And if you convince the world that the person has a psychiatric illness, and you don't deal with the fact that they're demon possessed, you're never going to fix them. And that's what the Jesuits want. And then you got them labeled, and everybody thinks they're crazy, and they are crazy because they're filled with devils who are causing them to believe lies. So the Jesuits created the field of psychiatry, and then they manipulate people into demon possession so that these people exhibit the symptoms according to the different categories the Jesuits have created. And this is how the Jesuits discredit their enemies and maintain demon control over that person. So anyways, the exciting thing is, we believe we found the cure to schizophrenia. Now that we realize that all schizophrenics are demon possessed, they just need a good exorcist. Jesus is the best exorcist. Go to my website, War on the Saints. You might want to visit Gerard Butler. Gerard Butler, I believe, has started a clinic just for schizophrenics, and we're really excited about this because a lot of them are getting cured now because we're casting out the demons in them. So that's what I wanted to talk about that schizophrenics are demon possessed, and that is the cure to schizophrenia. You got to cast out the demons, and only Jesus can do it. Go to my website and click on my links about War on the Saints. If you think you have schizophrenia, or if somebody's told you have schizophrenia, go to my website and go to Church of Gail and see if you can contact Gerard Butler, and we might be able to help you.